Deb and I, we kind of go way back when I used to lead other communities in terms of coaching and entrepreneurship. And when Deb kind of joined the Intrapreneur Academy, what I recognized is that Deb was operating at a very high level with things that some of us only kind of hear about on the news, right? These massive projects. But what I saw in Deb was that like her ability to navigate very sensitive, right? Very sensitive and very lengthy and very complex situations showed me just how entrepreneurial she was, right? So she joined us in the Intrapreneur Challenge back in June, and then she joined us in the Land and Expand intensive that we did, a 6-week intensive shortly after that. And then over the last 16 weeks at the end of the year, she was an Intrapreneur Apprentice. So she joined our apprenticeship program in which we invite people in to kind of be a part of some of our client meetings and really process through a variety of pieces of Intrapreneur. Not only the frameworks up here, but also the hard stuff. Things like feeling valuable and adding value and how to navigate those sensitive topics when it comes up. Because guess what? Entrepreneurs, visionaries are not always easy to deal with, are they, Deb?
No, it's really fun because I originally started going, and I still am going after the larger companies, the CEO, the CXO suites. But in reality, they are exactly like entrepreneurs that have a lot of problems, that don't know exactly what to do. And in a sense, through the things that you've been teaching and, going this last half a year or so with you, it's interesting because I've become less of a scientist and an executive and more of I don't want to say more of a person, but more of oh man, that must be really hard the way your company is now. You're in charge of 2 completely separate divisions. That's got to be a little bit difficult. And I can almost guess some of the things that I can speak to some of the things that they're probably going through. Boy, I remember when I was integrating, a space group, and that's got to be really hard. And Scott, it's because I've put on the intrapreneur hat instead of an advisor or consultant hat, which is what I had on previously. So long answer to your question.
No, that's super good. So help us understand, Deb, like when you change those hats out, what are the biggest differences as an intrapreneur versus an advisor or a consultant?
Ooh, in a sense, it's the co-missioning thing. It's a level playing field. They aren't the CEO way up here, and here I am, a knowledgeable advisor and consultant coming in. But when I put on the co-missioning or the I've been there, or man, I can imagine how hard that must be. But that attitude, all of a sudden, there's a softening that happens to them. They no longer have to, they almost take off the CEO hat and put on a person hat. So because my approach to them is changing, their approach to me changes. And I think it's for the better. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I was at a small set symposium, and one of the people that was the most excited about talking to me is a gentleman. He's a new CEO in Toulouse, France, of a part of a company that's just been put off. And he was sitting there at the table going, yeah, we started with 100 employees. Now we've got 400. I don't know how to talk to them. We've got one group that's way down here, one group that's up here. I don't know. And I'm just going, oh my gosh, I've been there. Nicholas, I know exactly what you're talking about. And, we're continuing the discussion, but it was me putting on that hat rather than saying, oh, well, I have a program, I have a process that can really help you do that, rather than getting into that advisor or consultant hat, just saying, yes, I've been there. Can I help you? And so
I love that.
No, Scott, Deb has changed. over the last year. And I think it's making a difference in my marketing too. So,
Well, I can just sense it in your confidence, Deb, because I think what you just articulated, there's nothing wrong with having a framework. There's nothing wrong with being an advisor, but there is a fine dance between understanding what it is they're trying to accomplish and letting it be the visionary's idea, approach, what have you. Because when you're entrepreneuring, it's like we're complementing their energy, we're complementing their strategy, and some things might not all fit. So when we talk about commissioning, for those of you who don't understand, as entrepreneurs, we think of commissioning as like the highest calling. Like our calling is, okay, I see what you see, right? With this visionary or entrepreneur or executive, what you've communicated, and I see how I can build it inside. Now here's the thing. They actually don't want to build it themselves. So there's no competition here. It's very complementary, right? Isn't that right?
yeah, yeah, it's kind of funny because some of the people on different at a different company that I've talked to, they kind of, when I go, oh yeah, I think one of the things that you could do is this, and they kind of look at me and go, can you do that? You can do that, right? And so that it, I'm still learning and I'm still growing, and I'll get that first client, but it's just interesting to step back and observe how I've changed, and then but also I'm more encouraged because I know even stronger without a doubt that what I have based on my experience and expertise, but also the approach that I've learned through you and Caitlin, and just that type of Kaylin, sorry, is making me better. And so I'm just more encouraged about what I can do. And I know without a doubt that this is where I'm supposed to be, and I can really make a difference.
I love that. I love it. I love it, man. This is so good, and it comes at such a timely. I mean, I wish we could have orchestrated it like this, and technically we have, I suppose. But it's like what you're communicating, the commissioning with that partnership, right? And that's what we were kind of talking about today as we started kind of to wrap up the 6-part series of the Intrapreneur framework. When you think about problem, priority, procedure, process, product, partnership, is there a phase or a pillar of that framework that you feel like is the most important?
I think it's working through the priorities, but everybody can create a list of these are all the things that are driving me nuts. These are all my problems. But then in addition to saying, well, which one is the highest priority? They may immediately say, well, this supplier is costing me the most money. The problem with this supplier is costing me the most money. But then as you keep asking, well, is it money? What causes a problem to rise to the top of the priority list? And it might not always be money. It might not always be time. But in that dialogue of helping them decide which is the one that they want to work on, that they have to work on first, you learn a whole lot about how they think and what's important to them. Oh, does this sound devious? Because in listening to the words that they're using, you can turn right back, or I turn right back around and say, oh, now you said this about, this particular problem. How does that, almost getting into a feel or a something other than hard and fast money and time, because a lot of the things that define and working through the priorities, you learn that stuff. So I would say step number 2 to me.
That's super good. And you know what? I don't think it's devious. I think what I hear you doing in that case is commissioning is a it's a tightly woven relationship, right? Where it's like you're really making sure that what they say they want, you're going to deliver for them. So reflecting it back on them, like in kind of the coaching modality, it can feel uncomfortable because those were their words. You didn't put words in their mouth. You just kind of reflected it and said, "Hey, is this what you're saying? Like, how does that make you feel?" Because one of the biggest, I think, compliments we can get as entrepreneurs is, and I've heard this a couple of times in my career, it's been, I never thought there was somebody who could care as much about my business as me, right? Or I've never been able to get this kind of time leverage back, because they realize, wow, I can actually trust this person with this vision, with this idea, with this discomfort that I'm trying to get out from underneath of, so I can live and operate my highest and best as the CXO or as the entrepreneur, as the business owner. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
I feel like we could go on forever. I know we only had a short time today, but I just want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a part of the Intrapreneur Academy and for being, one of our apprentices. And I look forward to kind of diving a little bit deeper. Would you mind just kind of staying connected to the group and letting people know, as you cover your awesome breakthroughs?
Oh, yeah. Just wait. James Webb was just the beginning, that space telescope. It's going to be a good ride. So, yeah, I will. Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deb. We appreciate you so much. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
So good. All right. Intrapreneur Academy, we're super excited, to host these sort of trainings for you every single week, so that people like Deb, right, who are doing the work, who are doing the thing for a couple of reasons. Number one, seeing what's possible for yourself. And number two, recognizing that there's so much more value that you can bring, right? So problem, priority, procedure, process, product, partnership. Today we talked about partnership. We elevated priority. And again, help me just give it up for Deb. Thank you so much, Deb. We will see y'all next week when we go live again and start to uncover more parts of the framework. See you guys.